Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel toe boots?
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jaylen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
And can you say hard hat, folks? Indeed. Welcome into the Garden Report. You are looking live at Gamebridge Fieldhouse right now. The Celtics are being presented the trophy here for the being Eastern Conference Finals champs, and they are headed back to the NBA Finals for the second time in 3 years. And there we are. We're there. We're live. Bobby Manning is live. Moments ago, Jaylen Brown named Series MVP. Debate that all you want. We can get into it, and we'll talk a little bit about the game. But honestly, who cares about the game? It kind of ended the way you thought it was going to end, right, guys? It's like, yeah, they let him hang around, and yeah, it wasn't perfect. But say what you will, 3 comeback victories, 2 back-to-back clutch performances here in Indiana to win this in 4 games, sweep the Pacers, and head to the NBA Finals. And we'll start with Bobby because Bobby's going to have to scoot in a little bit to go do his business as the Celtics are getting the presented the trophy here for being Eastern Conference Finals champs. What's going on, Bobby?
Yeah, pretty loud in here. A lot of boos, but a ton of Celtics fans. They really bought out the place tonight, unlike in Game 3 where it was pretty definitively a Pacers crowd here. Great to see Brown win the Finals MVP. As Noah and I talked about this morning, we both had him winning this, and I think he did the things again here tonight. The block that set up Derek White's 3. I think Tatum made that pass to White, right? So Tatum had another good passing game here and did the things he could. A strong start, a colder finish for him. And this was an important series for Tatum. And we'll always have that debate, like if you pulled Tatum out of this series, obviously that would have a greater impact than pulling Brown out of the series. But in terms of the performance,
Bobby, I got to correct you. That was Brown made the pass to White for that game-winning 3.
All right, yeah, I missed who threw it there. Add it to the list, right? The moments, Brown to White for the win there. The block right before it. The 40-point game in Game 2. The 2 plays that changed the series from the start. I mean, we're talking about a 6-game series, John, with some of the moments that the Pacers blew it and the Celtics rose to the occasion here. And you can really make a case through 4 games here that the Pacers should be up 3-0. 3-1. So to have those game-stealing moments tonight, Jrue certainly deserves honorable mention there for the heroics late in Game 3. And then, of course, Brown changed the whole series with the forced turnover and the 3 that tied that Game 1. And Tatum, of course, great in that overtime. So you had this 3-headed monster in this series of Tatum finding his shot, finding his offense, Brown just rising to the occasion, and Jrue making the timely plays needed on defense when necessary as well. And that was the difference between these 2 teams in this series. You have an 18-point lead in Game 3 at home. You're the Pacers. You get a couple stops and you win that game. Tonight, up 8 with 6 minutes to go. Just get a couple shots and a couple stops and you win that game. So the Pacers couldn't defend. You lose Halliburton, that doesn't help. But you still had guards with enough ability to make plays there to win games. And they just couldn't get a key stop. They couldn't get a key rebound. Some coaching blunders by Carlisle along the way too. This had some shades of that Nets series from 2022. It was very competitive, very close, but man, the Pacers just couldn't close out a game, and you credit the Celtics 4-0 in crunch time now in these playoffs. Back-to-back wins on the road in crunch time, trailing with just minutes to go, needing basket after basket. This is big stuff going into the finals here. I wasn't sure if they were going to steal this game, John, but once I started seeing the Pacers just siphon points again late, you're like, all right, here they come. And Jrue again with the and 1 late. Just clutch stuff from the Celtics here to end this series.
Yeah, I want to say thanks, Randy, here for the super chat. And yes, we will talk about Bill Walton at one point because this was a tough day for a lot of people who, I'm sure Bill Walton touched a lot of people's lives in a lot of different ways here. So I just, again, hold on, Bobby. I just want to acknowledge the super chat. We do appreciate that very much. And thank you for watching the show. What's up, Bobby?
I was going to say, Wick opened his comments here at the ceremony with a tribute to Bill Walton. And Carlisle, of course, before the game spent a lot of time on that too. So that was a big backdrop to the game here tonight for sure.
Yeah. Jimmy, I can't put you on right now, buddy. Keep trying to. All right. We'll put Jimmy back on. I'm
right here.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't keep you on and have a shot at the floor, but I think the ceremony's over and Amit took off there, and that's why I couldn't get Jimmy onto the show. But thank you very much, Jimmy Toscano. I felt like this show was going to lead off with you banging on your hard hat, but you had technical difficulties.
It was supposed to. We're going to have a little delay hard hat banging here, folks.
I'm going to start heading down and make my way to the locker room. So I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Okay, Bobby, we're going to miss you, but you jump back on soon, all right? Let's go. Go get them.
The hard hats were out on the hard court just now. That was the full group out there. Well-deserved sweep of this Pacers team. I think we all thought, at least on this show, we all thought that it was going to be a longer series. Obviously, things happened to the Pacers. Halliburton getting hurt, and even before he got hurt, though, I mean, the Celtics stole a game. They instilled their will on them. They executed down the stretch of these games, which has been the biggest concern or criticism with this team, is whether or not when the game was close, that they'd be able to make the right plays and to come through, and they did. I mean, whether it's Brown's block, Holiday's steal, Tatum's passing, White's 3 tonight to go ahead. They seem to make that play that needed to be made to ultimately win the game and win the series. And yeah, you can go back and say, oh, their opponents were weak, this, that, and the other thing, but they won in 5, they won in 5, and they won in 4. So yeah, their opponents were weak, and the Celtics took care of them the way that a good team would take care of a much weaker team. So they can't pick the schedule. You got to tip your hat, tip the hard hat to these guys for the way they played in the playoffs, shutting people up. A lot of the national media is still critical of them. Probably still will be. I mean, it doesn't even matter. I don't think it really matters what they do until they ultimately win a title.
So I love it, by the way. I am enjoying the hell out of, no one gives the Celtics, I'm not going to say no one, but I'm never letting the Celtics off the hook for anything. And that's how it's going to go. And that's how it's always going to go. And I won't apologize for it. But what I love now is the pendulum has swung so far to the other side that it's become stupid with 12 O's on oh, it's the easiest path. Shut up. As you said, yeah, you can only play who you play, but give me a freaking break with all of that stuff. They were 15 games clear of the field all season long. They won in 5, 5, and 4. What do you want them to do at this point? We can nitpick some things. And did they play with their food? And did they, give about a C+ effort in a couple of these games, the majority of these games? They did. We'll deal with that later because it's the finals. And if you do that in the finals, it's going to get really annoying. But you knew you could here, and that's what they did. And it was still more than enough to win. And even a game like this, we're texting at the end of the game, Jimmy, are they going to win? And we're like, probably, probably. You just kind of knew. Sherrod, impressions?
Well, I think at this point, you want there to be a certain clear and undeniable ramp up from one series to the next. And the big question for most of us about the Celtics was, what can they do when their backs are against the wall in a close game where they've got to execute when the game matters most, those last 2-3 minutes of the game? And they played 4 games, and 3 of which they had to do that, and they won all 3. And that, to me, is a significant growth on their part from where they began this postseason run to where they are now. And for them going forward, the next challenge, and I think it's pretty obvious and clear, is can they execute down the stretch in close games against top-tier teams? Because they showed they could do it. And now, can they do it against a higher grade of competition? And for the Celtics, for their confidence, for their ability to not just go out there and do it, but then believe they can do it before it happens. This was a huge series. And Bobby made reference to that Brooklyn Nets series a few years ago where they sent them on their way, but almost every game was kind of a nail biter. This series was very similar to that. The Celtics swept, but they could easily be coming back to Boston down 3-1 in this series, easily. But they were able to execute. And the thing I love about the way that they were able to put away the Pacers was that there was a different key cog or different combination of key cogs that they were able to lean on to get this point. At one point, Al Horford was that guy, knocked down 7 threes in the game. Jrue Holiday has stepped up. Jaylen Brown was MVP. Derek White hit the biggest shot of the night in Game 4. This is the problem that the Celtics present to any and every opponent. You cannot lock in on trying to shut down one or two guys because what winds up ultimately happening is you're playing basketball whack-a-mole. The minute you hit one, there's another one popping up. And the minute you whack that one, there's another one. You can't win when you're playing a team that has that type of diversity to what they can do at both ends of the floor. So, and we're not even going to even get into probably much about the idea that Porzingis is going to be back for the finals. And he's got a nice little ramp up now, even more so than the time he's already missed because they're not going to play till June 6th. So if you're the Celtics, you're feeling pretty damn good about where you are, where you've gone, and where you can go going forward.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw this up from Jason Tatum, who I'm sorry did not win Finals MVP.
I'm not.
He made a good. Well, you know, I had JB the whole way, and that's fine. But the reason I put this up is for this reason, and I'll ask you guys here in the show, and I know I know my answer, but I'll ask the chat as well. Would you have felt better about this series if they swept with an average margin of victory of 23 points? And never were really tested and coasted and knocked down all of their threes and just outclassed an inferior opponent. And, here you go, coasting to the finals against a team that was without its best player for 2.5 games. Or do you feel better having 3 great clutch-ish wins under your belt, including 2 really good comebacks where you executed, played nails defense, got blocks, got key rebounds, and did everything you had to do, and kind of felt like this chat says that they were going to do it? How freaking weird is it that tonight we're like, yeah, they'll just outplay them in crunch time? When was the last time you felt that way about the Celtics? For real?
You might have to go back to 2008.
For real. I would don't worry, we'll just do that. How do you like that?
I love it. Because to me, that's how, when you are a championship caliber team, that's how you should feel about that team. You should feel that if the game is tight, they're going to win it because they're the better team. And the better team is supposed to do that when it matters most. And the thing is, this team, we don't have any issues or questions about their ability and talent. It's can they make that rise to the challenge when they are challenged? And that's been a big question about this group at this point. And I thought they met that. They met that and then some. Indiana is the perfect type of playoff starter kit to get to the finals because they're going to play hard. And no matter how up or down they are, they're going to keep coming at you. And it becomes it becomes on you to figure out how can you play as hard, if not harder than them, and execute when it matters most. And the Celtics did that. And again, Tatum was one of the guys that was obviously involved in that, but so was Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And that's the beauty about this team, that when you start looking at Dallas, you start looking at Minnesota, and you look at other teams that, had made a fairly deep run, they have 1 or 2 guys that they're leaning on to execute. And the Celtics have 5, 6 different options. And one of which they haven't seen in damn near a month in Porzingis. So this was a great series. The way that they were able to sweep them is this is how, if you're Joe Mazzulla, you wanted to get to the NBA Finals. 4 games that will force your team to, frankly, show a side of them that we have not seen enough of in the regular season or in the playoffs, and be able to do that and be relatively unscathed health-wise.
So, Sherrod, you just nailed it right there. Putting them in situations that we haven't seen and they haven't seen enough of. Because, John, if the question is, do you want to blow out an opponent or have a close game, you obviously would choose blow out the opponent. But in this situation, or in this case,
for this team,
yeah, for this team,
because this was bordering on bordering on 12 on 14 extra games of regular season basketball for them. I mean, really, the finals were, for the most part, a foregone conclusion almost the whole way through, given their path. That's a given. I think the national media is grasping on the caliber of opponent, but it was happening no matter what. But in this game, you wanted to see them to have to tough something out, right?
Yeah, if it was going to be close, sure, you want to see how they're going to react and how they're going to play in those situations. And they passed with flying colors. I mean, Sherrod mentioned some specifics already. I mentioned them a few briefly off the top, but every player had a part in this series at some point. And that's the other beauty of it is that, this team is, right now they're 5 deep because Porzingis is out, but they're really deep at those 5 spots. And pick any of those last 4 wins, and you could find a player in that starting lineup that had a huge part in that win, right? And that's huge for them because that tells me that they're kind of clicking on all cylinders, being able to execute in tight games down end of the game situations, under 5 minutes to go and 1 possession type games. We've seen a couple of those, a few of those actually in the series, and them to come up with the win. That's great because guess what? Assuming it's going to be Dallas, you're now going to be in a situation where you have on the other side of the ball 2 of the better closers in the NBA in Luka and Kyrie, unlike the Pacers where you could see that youth, you could see that inexperience shine through. And yeah, on one hand, credit the Celtics for forcing Indy into some of those turnovers or contested shots or whatever you want to call it, steals. It might not be the same in Dallas because Luka Doncic has hurt this Celtics team on numerous occasions. Kyrie Irving has hurt them in multiple ways, some of which were when he was on the Celtics and some when he wasn't.
Game 5, Milwaukee will forever be my memory of Kyrie. Maybe the worst game he's ever played in his life.
Well, exactly. I'll wrap it up. And my point is, getting that a few of those games under your belt where you can look at the film and you can seeing is believing, right? And that's why I think a lot of fans believe it. But now these players, they can believe it. They can believe that narrative is out the window and that this is how we're going to play down the stretch. This is how we're going to execute. This is who we can rely on. This is why Jason Tatum won't think twice to dish the ball out to one of his teammates for a go-ahead 3, instead of trying to force it or take a step back contested jumper. You know what I mean? So they have these examples now.
Yeah, they do. We're going to go live to the podium in a little bit and hear from the guys as they, they might champagne soak it up a little bit. And I think that's deserved as they make their way to the NBA Finals, second time in 3 years. And yeah, Jimmy, I agree with a lot of that. And I think, I again, just going back to all of it, it was good to win the way that they did here. I think that's all. I think it was a good thing. And I think it's going to be annoying, as we said, hearing some of the talk leading up to it. How's it going to go? And I do think people are going to play that hard. The Luka versus the Luka Kyrie clutch, how they've been playing. I will say, because we're going to get into Dallas preview a little bit later in the show because it's inevitable at this point. They're up 3-0. You're assuming that that's what's going to happen. I think there's a fair amount of recency bias going on here. And I said back a month or two ago, I'm not just trying to play my Nostradamus card here again, too. I said, don't sleep on Dallas. I like them in the West. I like them going to the conference finals. I thought they would get there. I thought Denver ultimately would be the team that would come through there. I think they're good. I think they improved themselves. But, is Kyrie going to do any more than Nebhart did in this series? I know Luka's one of one. He's that guy, and he's always going to be that guy. But I mean, they played this team post.
You're not comparing Kyrie to Nebhart, dude.
I'm just saying they played this team post deadline and they beat them by 28 points at the Garden. I'm not saying every game is going to be like that. I'm just saying of all of the teams that were remaining in the Final Four, I felt that the Dallas one was by far the Celtics' best matchup. But I think people are seeing Luka and Kyrie here and getting these weird. I mean, you're as well equipped
as any player. Who's the best player in that series?
That's not the point. You're as well equipped as anybody on the planet to deal with those two guys. You have a terrific backcourt and 2 switchable wings that make it really difficult. Who can get physical with those guys? Who can stay with those guys laterally? Yes, I know Luka's going to hunt Al Horford on every friggin' switch imaginable. but that's just what he does with everybody. He's going to get his. He's a singularly talented player. I think people are overdoing it. We've seen Kyrie lay some real serious freaking eggs against the Celtics recently. So I am not sweating it nearly as much as everybody else is with the Dallas Mavericks. But we'll get into that later as well. Sherrod has a thought. I'll let him give his thought here, but then we'll get into it a little later.
We can talk later about Dallas because I have some thoughts about that, and not just really quick, and we can keep moving. But
the Celtics are going to murder those guys on the defensive end. Murder them.
Kyrie and Luka are going to get theirs, but it's PJ Washington, it's the Lively, it's those side dishes on their squad that I worry about because those guys are the reason why they have a 3-0 lead. Kyrie and Luka do their late game magic, that's all good. But those other guys are the ones that are keeping Dallas in the game and giving them an ability to have an opportunity for their closers to do their thing. I worry more about them being shut the valve on those guys because we can talk more about it later, but I'm not as fearful about Dallas as I think some people are because, again, their role players I just don't think they're built to win a title, long story short.
Yeah. And again, that's the thing is they're getting it done with some really good effort from their role players, but that's what it is. They're role players. The Celtics roll deep here, and assuming you're getting Porzingis back, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not. Let's just say I'm not quaking in my boots. Of course it's losable. It's the NBA Finals. There's no question about that, and Dallas is a good opponent. But what people were. I mean, Jesus, a week and a half ago, we'll never beat Denver, and then. Watching Minnesota beat Denver. Oh, that's a really tough matchup. Now it's Dallas. It's just scared for the sake of being scared. Let's listen to Derek White right now.
He's not scared.
I mean, first off, just congrats and a lot of respect and for Indiana, their team and the coaching staff. I mean, they just would not go away. 4 games, 48 minutes each game has just been a grind, a battle. We knew that going in, and, I mean, they were here for a reason, and they're a really good team, and so credit to them. But we just kind of wanted to stay the course. They're going to make runs. They're going to do what they do, and so we just try to stay the course. And I'm just spacing, and shout out to JB for driving and making a good play. I just finally made a shot, and so it's great to get this win, and it's not easy to get to the finals.
You got a little extra time between now and June 6th. Does that give you a little extra time to kind of celebrate since you don't have to turn around and focus on an opponent right now?
I don't know if celebrate's the right word, but we want to enjoy this. I mean, it's a grind. It's not easy. But, yeah, we want to enjoy it for a little bit, and then we're going to lock in and do what we need to do. Understand we'll figure out who our opponent is and do what we need to do.
You know who your opponent is, Derek. Stop lying to the people.
When you got here to Boston, your teammates pushed you to be more confident in yourself, shoot more. To have 2 giant shots in Eastern Conference Finals, what does that say about your time starting here to where you guys are now? How proud are you of your growth?
It was a pretty good day, I guess. But just a lot of hard work, and then, I mean, a lot of credit to the team. I mean, they always push me, and just seeing them work every day makes me want to work harder, which pushes me to just keep getting better. So credit to the team and then the coaching staff. They've been unreal. Just always there for me, always supporting me, ups, downs. They just always believed in me. So I love them, and it really starts with them.
Do you
just space, and then just trust that JB is going to make the right play like he has this entire year. I felt like I got a good look, and just wanted to stay in the shot and knock it down. Obviously I missed a lot in a row, but it was starting to feel a little better, so I just stayed confident and was able to make one.
All right.
Boom.
Pulling Derek out of there. We're going to get to Joe as well. He's coming up right behind Derek White. We just want to jump back in, throw in a super chat here. wondering if JB is the guy and it'll be JT versus Luka in the finals for face of the league. Personal agendas are real demons to slay, not fourth quarter. I'm still very skeptical. Look, I don't know about the agendas. I'll say this. I don't want to nitpick this game because there's a fair amount to nitpick. Like I said, C- effort, I think, for most of the game. Didn't get after it, didn't feel finals conference-y. They weren't diving for balls and this and that. I think they were saving it for the when we need to make our run or our plays, we'll do it, and they did it. So that's what it is. Yeah, a little bit too much hero ball, ISO ball early, but at the end of the day, look, down the stretch, Tatum found White for an open three and he missed it. Brown found White for an open three and he made it. Jaylen missed a layup, even though he went a little bit ISO there, down the stretch. Was it my favorite? No. If they lost this game, we'd be nitpicking what happened down the stretch there because it wasn't some terrific execution. I don't know if it's an agenda per se. I just think it was, they were looking at the other side of the docket all series long thinking, my guy, every one of us can beat every one of them every single time. And every time you do that, you're like, the best play we can run right now is just to give me the ball and get the F out of my way. I think a lot of people probably have that mentality. Look at Holiday, for example. Twice in the fourth quarter, he's like, he ISOs top of the key, and then he works his way down into the post, and he gets an and one or a foul. He could find his shot if he wanted to. White could find his offense if he wanted to against his team. Basically, everybody could. So, yeah, I don't think it's a personal agenda sort of thing. I think their eyes were just like this because they knew defensively there's no one on the Pacers, with the exception of Nesmith, that could really check anybody.
Tatum finally figured out that,
and Tatum was making great passes all game long. Just evolved a little bit late, which again is a habit we want to break, but that's fine.
Yeah, but it reminds us that he's not flawless when he does that, because really his vision, his getting others involved, his just overall seeing of the floor is so much better than it was a year ago. And to me, and we talked about this earlier, his willingness to just basically slide into a different kind of role than he's used to. He's used to just being, I'm going to be the big time scorer night in, night out. I'm going to take all the shots or most of the shots, and that's just going to be that. He's finally embraced the fact that maybe I need to take a step back so the team can take 2 steps forward. Jaylen Brown had the biggest mismatch in this series. Joe's ready?
Joe Mazzulla victory lap. Let's hear it.
I thought, guys had a smile on their face.
Stay humble, Joe.
I thought.
Pop that collar, Joe. F that. Pop it.
Jimmy, are we drinking, by the way?
Chip away.
No, drinking soda water.
Continue to execute. And we did a good job holding them to one shot. Did a good job executing. So I thought the guys just did a great job kind of staying present, embracing the moment.
Joe, obviously, none of these games are necessarily easy. A lot of them you were coming back in the final couple of minutes, like you just alluded to. How can that help you guys as you prepare for the finals to have gotten through the series the way you did and pulling a lot of these games out in the final moments?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys did a great job having an understanding that, like, a game is not supposed to go a certain type of way, and you got to find different ways to win. You got to learn to protect leads. You got to learn to come back from deficits. You have to learn to execute in close game situations. You have to communicate adjustments, and you just got to make plays. You got to be tough-minded. So, as many different situations as we could put ourselves in heading into this last round, it's important. And, the guys have done a great job just winning games many different ways. And so gotten good practice executing, and I was going to continue it.
You guys held them scoreless for the final 332. Jaylen had the huge block on Nembhard near the end. What did you see in terms of defensive execution and limiting them to one shot?
Again, this team is very similar to you guys, where like they create a lot of noise, and you have to decipher what's true and like what shots you're going to willing to live with and which ones you're going to take away. And so like it was really hard throughout the game because I felt like we were making them take tough shots, and the guys just stuck with it and did a great job taking tendencies. Did a good bet, just upped our ball pressure and our individual defense, and we got stops home to a 19-point quarter.
Joe, what are those championship stations that Derek talked about, if you're willing to divulge? And is that something you started this year? Does that go back to when you first took over here?
Just the details, things that you can't take for granted. Sometimes it's the smallest is getting the ball in bounds, but just try to pick little things that we see on a nightly basis that can impact winning and can affect losing. And we just practice them over and over again until they become second nature.
They like positioned around different baskets around the gym type thing?
Yep.
Thank you.
Joe, Jaylen Brown, series MVP. What did you think of him in the last minute with the block and steal, and then just for the entire series?
Man, I thought he got good shots the whole game. And he just couldn't get, like in the first half, he was pushing the pace. He got transition. He got 2 feet in the paint. I thought he was getting great shots the whole game. And I thought he just stayed with it, stayed poised. He's a guy, you can't shake him. He has great, just a short-term memory. If he misses a shot, never affects the next one. And so I just loved his poise, his ability to just attack. And, if it's one thing about him, and like Derek said, just making plays, like not being defined by scoring. And it was a hell of a pass. And, I had full faith he was going to make that read. It was a great read.
Joe, touching on Jaylen again, after game 2, we talked about not making the All-NBA and being underappreciated. But just for him to win this award and just to kind of get some flowers for what he's done, his improvement, his step forward, and the man he's become off the floor as well as on the floor. How does that impact you? When you deal with him and get to know him, and over the last 2 years, how has that relationship formed?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best gifts, things I have is why I got into coaching is building relationships with guys. And, when I left college to go to the NBA, most people were like hesitant about that because, NBA guys get a negative rap as to being able to build relationships with them. But I felt like there's a lot there. And just getting to know people and their families and what makes them tick and the things that they love off the court. And also like finding guys that are so passionate about just getting better as players and people. And Jaylen is one of those. And so, from the first day I've been here, he's become more just like open-minded towards just growing as a basketball player. See what he's done in the community. And I just really, really value the time that I get to spend with him on and off the court. And, he just keeps getting better and better. I'm happy for him.
Joe, can we talk about Derek White's resilience for a second? He was 1 for 8 from 3 before he hit that big one at the end. He just finds a way to get it done in the clutch.
Yeah, he does, huh? But it's a credit to him. Like he's another guy where like he just got short-term memory. The last shot doesn't bother him. He plays with a sense of joy, a sense of presence. And I thought he got some really good looks too. And I think that's like the 4th or 5th time I remember a game at Toronto where he hit a corner 3 to be in there, and like when he catches that, he has I have full faith that it's going in. So, but another guy where his lack of shot making didn't impact his defense or his execution at times, and all the guys have kind of done that this year.
Joe, up 3-0, it felt inevitable, but to get that final buzzer, when you look out on the floor and you see somebody like Al Horford like really show some emotion, right? Mm-hmm. Celebrating with his son, all of those moments out there. Where are you feel? I know there's 4 more wins, but what's your feeling there in that moment, seeing those guys celebrating?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was finding my wife first. I wanted to make sure I had that moment with her. And kind of like Gary said, like you get to know these guys as people, and you start to see how much they really care about doing anything and everything that what it takes to win. And you see how it impacts their families, their marriages, their wives, like all the traveling, everything we do. So just to see them be, vulnerable and open and just that sense of joy. It's kind of why you do what you do.
Joe, you talked earlier in the series about how Jaylen is out there with like half the coaching staff at the end of practices working on his reads. Yeah. You were one of those coaches working on that a few years ago, right? What have you seen in his just like his reaction time, his poise, how he's improved with that, and then just that play to Derek? It's like he almost fumbled it away and he still recovered. Like he's turned those over in the past. So just how is that kind of like a culmination of all the progress he's made as a player? Yeah, credit to him.
He has a growth mindset, so he's never afraid to work on a weakness. He's never afraid to go after something that makes him uncomfortable. And between him and Tony and the player development staff, like they put him in any and every situation possible. So when you have a guy that's open-minded towards growth and towards wanting to get better, they practice stuff like that. They practice, they have the arms and they slapping down and driving into 2 guys because they collapse and having to make that. So like any and every situation you see on the court, Jaylen prioritizes kind of going through that. So it's a credit to just his growth mindset and the staff.
Coach, Al played 35 minutes or more for the 6th time in the last 8 games.
All right, Al Horford answer.
And Al's going to get a week off.
I'll bring in
Josue.
Josue. What's going on, buddy?
How about them damn Celtics, fellas?
Joining the show, I will say.
Josue.
I'm going to say, and we're gonna get Josue take on things. Someone put it in the chat, and I thought assuming it's gonna, I just had to mention it. Assuming it's gonna be a Celtics Mavericks final. Who's the saddest guy in America right now?
Grant Williams.
Grant freaking
Yeah,
Williams.
someone
man.
had to say it. Yeah.
Grant Williams.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the SpongeBob meme when the two teams are playing against each other, and then he's out, looking out the window. Yeah, it's all that.
Saddest man in America. Another thing Joe said I wanted to double down on real quick about Derek White and not getting rattled on those threes. Yes, 100%. 100%. You don't remember. You go back on the box score and you're like, oh, geez, he was awful. You don't remember them as much because he does just confidently shoot the shots he's supposed to shoot all game long, whether he makes it or doesn't make it. So when he's taking that three, is anybody thinking for a second, oh, shit, man, he's ice cold. I wish they'd given it to somebody else. No, I'm like, oh, good. This is a good shot. And he drills it. So good for him. Being able to overcome that. He didn't have a great shooting series at all. But anyway, Josue, what you got?
Yeah, man. I was going to say that and mention the fact that 1 year ago was Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals with the tip-in that Derek obviously kept the series going. Even though they lost in Game 7, it's worth mentioning how the basketball gods will wink at you every once in a while. But, yeah, I know someone's coming onto the podium, right?
I'm sorry, Josue. We got the series MVP. We're going to listen to Jaylen for a little bit here. Hold on.
Let's go, Jaylen. Let's go, Jaylen.
What was your feeling when you heard your name called?
No, that's Josue.
I wasn't expecting it at all.
Josue, drop. Drop off the show.
I was happy that we won.
All right.
It's tough. I know,
Sorry,
people.
I'll get Josue back on a little bit.
It wasn't a good team or whatever the case may be. I mean, I thought they were as tough as anybody we played all season. They were physical. They were fast. They put a lot of pressure on us. So shout out to them and respect to them.
Jaylen, want to talk about your vocal.
Stop shooting like motherfucking Michael Jordan.
We're talking about going in this year, who would kind of be the vocal leader on this team. It looks like you kind of
pushing this vocal leader thing.
Teammates, speaking your mind. How do you feel like you took another step there this year and showed comfort in that area?
Yeah, we had some guys leave. So I wanted to make sure that that void was filled. Marcus Smart, one of my brothers, got traded. He was one of the voices of our team. And when he wasn't here, I wanted to make sure I stepped in and make sure that everybody felt me and everybody knew what the standard was. And we didn't skip no steps all season. I think we played the right way every single game. I've held everybody accountable, and this is the byproduct.
Jaylen, D. White
finally got it
last year.
Someone finally answered it.
This year, he has the shot to send you guys to the finals.
Keep shooting, Bobby. Keep shooting. That's what I'm talking about.
Great shot. We work on that all the time. 2-on-1 reads. They veered it. I was able to get to the paint with Turner on me and just found him. And before I told D. White, just stay ready, it's coming. And that was just a big shot to put us up 3 and help us advance to the finals.
A number of times this season, Joe's been asked what's changed, and he said time. And he said that time allowed you guys to just figure out how to go about doing things together. How have you guys used time? How have you used experiences to kind of solidify yourselves and get ready for your second trip to the final?
Yeah, I mean, we feel like we're a different team than we were last year and the year before that. I know everybody wants to continue to kind of pigeonhole us to what's happened in the past, but we've had a different team every single year, different coaches. We've had like 3 coaches in the last 5 years, and still people want to, just make it seem like it's the same. It's the same. It's the same. Time has gone by. Experience has been gained, and I think we are, ready to put our best foot forward.
And I'm
Jaylen, basically, as soon as the second half started, we saw an increasingly aggressive offensive mindset from you. What changed in terms of how you were able to attack their defense?
Yeah, I was playing like trash in the first half.
There we go.
The pace was really getting to me. I feel like I was a step behind. And then I just needed to be a little more patient in the second half and let the game kind of come to me a little bit more. And I did that. I was just trying to get to the basket and use my physicality, but if the game tells you to shoot a jump shot, you got to shoot a jump shot. And so in the second half, I think I made 3 threes, let the jumper fly a little bit more, and that opened some stuff up for me. So sometimes, you just got to be flexible. You got to be versatile, and just the game will tell you what you need to do.
Jaylen, it's been a year of growth for you. You've taken a step forward. You wanted to live up to the contract. But there were some statements made about you in recent days, and how have you do you use the negativity as motivation? How do you view that when that comes out of the blue? You responded, you wanted to know what happened, where it came from, and how do you motivate? How does that motivate you when it seems like there's just it keeps the negativity and criticism keeps coming?
You just embrace it. At this point, I'm at that phase in my life where I just embrace all forms of negativity or whatever the case is. Some stuff I don't understand. It ain't meant for me to understand it, but I just know who I am and what I stand for. Sometimes makes people feel uncomfortable. And sometimes I miss out on things. I miss out on opportunities, awards, marketing deals, or whatever the case may be. And, at this point, I just embrace it. I am who I am, and I'm going to stand on my beliefs. And I'm one of those people who would die for what they believe in. So I just embrace it at this point. And I'm grateful that I'm able to be in this position, and the energy is about to shift.
Here we go.
Scoring obviously was
the energy's about to shift.
But
He's back.
He's back, bitches.
Block, big assist at the very end. You've been wanting, I think, to be known as more than a scorer for a while. Do you feel like the world sees you as that? And do you feel like you've gone from believe you could be that to truly being that now?
I think I'm one of the best two-way wings, guards, whatever you want to say in this game. I thought this year I've taken a level and I've increased it. I took the matchup. I picked up guys full court. I chased guys off screens. I battled with bigs, and I felt like I should have been all defensive. And that probably hurt me the most because that's one of the things that I set out in the season that I wanted to be. But as time has gone by and I got to this point, I stopped caring, and I just embrace. I don't care who sees what, as long as my team knows my value, my city knows my value, my family. That's all I really care about. But I like to set my hat on just being a versatile two-way wing, and can do both at any point in time. And the last kind of 4 minutes of this game, you saw that.
Boom.
John, you guys obviously had some big comebacks in the series, some powerful finishes. What do you think you guys kind of learn in these situations, and how can it maybe help you moving forward in the finals?
Execution down the stretch. I thought that we made some big time plays and some shots. Defensively, I thought we got some good film to be able to see that, break that down, and see where we can improve. Offensively, I thought we spaced the floor well, and I thought we made timely plays. We got a lot of great players in our locker room that made big time plays. Jrue was one game. D. White was this game. Al was another game. JT. We've all been able to take turns just being able to make impactful winning plays, and that's what it's about.
How much did you guys practice late game situations this year? How much of an emphasis was that, and was it more than in previous seasons?
Yeah, I think I'll give credit to our coaching staff. We were very organized this year. We went over a lot of late game situations and stuff like that. We're always trying to think the game, and we got to be in those positions, and everybody talks about what our late game offense looks like, and I thought we got some great opportunities in this series to display that.
Okay, John, you're muted.
We're going to jump off JB for a little bit here, and we'll get back to the podium. We'll get Bobby Manning. We want Josue's take as well.
The energy's about to shift.
The energy's shifting. I want to talk about a couple of things JB said in that press conference as well when we get a chance to. First off, though, we do have to tell you about a couple of our sponsors here at the Garden Report. And guys, please help us help you. There's a ton of you out here in the chat, and it's a perfect opportunity to tell you about Prize Picks. If you want to get in on the action here, America's number one fantasy sports app, more than 3 million members. If this is your thing and you want to get in on the action, please listen up to the end here. We're going to tell you how you can do so and help CLNS out in the process. And again, it's really simple. Your favorite sports, favorite players, you pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. Watch the winnings roll in. It's all you have to do. You can do community plays. You can play alongside celebrities. You have injury insurance if you need it. If somebody gets hurt in the first half, they've got you covered. It's super easy to use. It's a lot of fun. And all you have to do to get involved right now, download that app today and just type in the code CLNS. It's all you have to do. First deposit match up to 100. So you put in 100, you get 100. Boop. All you have to do is, once again, download the app, put in that code CLNS. First deposit match up to 100. Terms do apply here. That's all you got to do. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. And we want to tell you about Game Time. Are you going to need Game Time right now? It's not going to be easy getting into the finals and games 1 and 2. We know the schedule now, and those tickets are going to go on sale. And if you're not lucky enough to get one, Game Time's got you covered. Authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA makes getting playoff tickets faster and easier. Prices on the app actually drop the closer it gets to tip-off. Great last-minute deals. All-in prices, views from your seat, lowest price guarantees, whatever you have it, you got to check it out. Game Time is the place you want to go if you want to try to find Celtics tickets to the NBA Finals, returning to the Finals for the second time in 3 years. Take the guesswork out of buying those tickets, NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and again, all it is, code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, download the app, create an account, code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And yeah, energy shifting or not, what I will say about Jaylen, I love this because he covers our ass more than anybody else on this team and more than the chat and more than other fans by calling it how it is. I played like ass.
Trash. I was trash.
We sucked.
Appreciate that.
We didn't match their energy. Tatum finally woke up, and I'm like, oh, thank God for this guy. Because sometimes somebody says it. It's not just us and the haters. Shut up, they're winning.
Right.
Like, oh, it's not.
And Joe Mazzulla is not going to say it. Yeah, it's true.
So he's honest. Like, he didn't have it. And he did look a little off, and it did look a little slow. And that makes people wonder what's going on here. And when you're honest like that, I also think you see like there's a human aspect to it. It isn't always that you rolled out of bed and didn't feel like playing today because you hate basketball and hate us and don't respect the fans and wanted to lay an egg. Sometimes it's just like, oh, fuck, man, I don't have it right now. And he didn't have it, and that happens sometimes. And that seemed like the case.
Do you want to go to Horford, John, or no?
No, well, hey, do you guys want to hear from Al? Or you guys want to talk?
A little bit. I kind of want to hear from Al, but then we'll get back
All
into
right,
it.
Al Horford, everyone trying to get to the finals. And a lot of people they want to win it for themselves. There's a lot of legacies on the line here. Everyone wants to win it for Al as
that's
well.
why I think Al's going to say something about that right now. So, yeah, that's cool.
Did not quit. Their fight is unbelievable. They didn't make excuses. They continued to play, and they pushed us. They pushed us to
a
the
lot
edge.
tougher than we gave him credit for.
Well,
one of us had
getting
Pacers in 7.
of that
Celtics in 7.
Award and his performance throughout the series.
You were the most wrong.
Yeah, I think it's great. Jaylen deserves it. Has really been playing so well this year. You can see the improvement in his game. His growth. And this is something that we're all celebrating with him, and it's very well deserved.
Jaylen has wanted to be known as a defender, as a playmaker, more than being a scorer. How have you seen him kind of define his game and his career by more than scoring? And how did that final minute with that big play kind of epitomize his growth?
Yeah, that summarized it there. Just a big time play. But to your point and his point, it's he's impacting the game not only on offense but on defense, and he's doing it at a very high level. And we ask a lot of him. I mean, tonight, he started out guarding Nembhard, and then he switched up to Siakam, and then he was probably on Turner. He was on different people, just all over. And that versatility is what makes us so tough as a team, I think, because we have multiple guys that can do that, and Jaylen does it at a very high level.
Al, 1 year ago today, D. White gets the tip in against Miami. You guys have one more game to play after that. Tonight he gets the 3. You guys have no more games to play. What's the difference in the emotions between those 2 nights?
Man, that Miami one was, kind of surreal at that moment, at that time, and very overwhelming. And with this one, it just felt so good. D. White is the type of player that he's made for those type moments. I feel like he really relishes that, and it was a great play, and he just finished it. And for us, obviously we're just we're not satisfied, and
we're enjoying this one tonight, but we different than last year. I feel like our mindset is very clear. We understand what we need to do. We need to finish this.
Yeah, you just kind of mentioned, but just how different is this experience from 2 years ago? What did you maybe learn from that first finals run that you could kind of find?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first final was very, very challenging. If you look at our route, that first round series against Brooklyn, it was a hard fought series, even though that we swept them. And then 7-game series against Milwaukee, the champs, took them to the limit. And then right away, 7-game series against Miami, literally 2-3 days off, having to play Golden State in the finals. So it was a lot for our group. It was very overwhelming. And, I felt like we were trying to catch on the whole time there. And now, we've put ourselves in a position in the regular season to have home court advantage, to be in this position.
Okay, I've heard enough.
And with these series, we're taking advantage of the opportunities and playing.
We wanted to look at Al's eyes a little bit.
Yeah, we got some eye contact. It was
He's
good.
so happy,
He is,
Good for
as
him.
he should be, as he should be. And I mean, this team, even though I did just cut him off, he was making a good point. This team is in a much better
Yo, you
position
did, yeah.
this time around, going into the finals than they were when they were going into Golden State. I mean, even though they did have the advantage in that series, and you could make the case that they blew that series, the games caught up to them. The games caught up to them. The turnovers caught up to them. Remember how many freaking turnovers those guys could not wait to turn the ball over in that series against Golden State. So you're not seeing that level of sloppiness, at least to this point, in these players for this Celtics team. So, obviously, and the other thing is this, Sherrod, and you've seen this over and over. Teams making their first trip to the NBA Finals. It is a completely different experience going from the Eastern Conference Finals to the NBA Finals.
Well,
the NBA comes in, they make it a whole event. There's people from all over the world watching and covering it, and so on and so forth.
Well, especially when your team is being led by guys who are in their early to mid-20s, really early 20s, in Tatum and Brown. Because even as good as they were a couple years ago, they were still in this stage of learning and figuring stuff out on the fly. They weren't necessarily in the right state of mind to carry a franchise to a title. This year, completely different situation. They're older, they're more seasoned. They know what the heartbreak feels like of getting to the finals and not sealing the deal. And on top of that, you add a guy like Jrue Holiday, who's been there, done that. You add a guy like Porzingis, who gives you that stretch big that you would have loved to have had a couple years ago when you played Golden State. You've got your core guys have grown, your roster is better, and you have done all the things to position yourself to be the best version of a championship caliber team when it matters most. And you've basically taken care of getting to the finals with only 2 games above the minimum. That's pretty damn impressive. And to John's point earlier, all the criticism that this team has had throughout the course of this postseason run, the fact that they've been able to handle their business better than any other team that has played in this postseason, it says a lot about their focus and the growth that they've had from a couple of years ago to where they may play with their food now, but they're not spilling that shit on the floor. They may play with it, but they're not spilling it on the floor. They're making sure that they're finishing it off in as little time as possible. Even if it's a tough go, which I think this Indiana series was much tougher than the fact that they swept them. This was a hard sweep by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, that's why it was so important for these guys to have. Okay, go ahead, John.
Just want to say, by all means, guys, we don't ask very often, but yes, it really does help us if you
crash that like button.
Crush
the
like button. Josue, go ahead. And
no,
we have someone come. We got Holiday in there. Get your point in. We'll jump to Jrue. Sorry.
Throw me a grenade again. All right, damn.
Got
Just 5 seconds.
6 seconds, go.
That's why it was important for these guys to have thick skin, because you knew what the narrative's going to be, and it's not these guys' fault overall. I mean, it's just what's been going on the last 5-6 years. They haven't got it done, and no one was going to give them that benefit of the doubt until it happens. And they had to see through all the noise, what Joe Mazzulla's been talking about, and they did a really good job, because at the end of the day, it was sloppy, it wasn't pretty, ugly second half overall, but you just knew down the stretch the Pacers didn't have enough defensive stops to really come back or at least seal this win. The Celtics came right back, man. Derek White, another big shot. Jrue Holiday making big plays, and here he is right now.
Yes, Josue.
There you go.
Done.
Drew, what's your feelings now as you're one step away, as you now have some time to rest?
Just in
and
time, John.
Maybe get Kristaps back. Just kind of your feeling as a team as you're trying to
Drew's
gear up
back in
now
the
for a
finals.
week from Thursday.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm there yet. Still kind of excited about the win, and I mean, you see the merch. Just really excited that we did this as a team.
Merch.
It wasn't just one
Merch.
person,
Jimmy.
a couple
Get the merch.
people.
We'll get to that.
We know when KP went down, people would have to step up, and everybody did, from Jason and JB all the way down to, O'Shea, who got in and played great minutes. So great team effort. The coaching staff did great in preparing us for this whole series and making adjustments on the fly and all that. So it's been really excited to get this win.
Drew, Derek keeps coming up big in big moments. It just seems like the team's in good hands when he has the ball late in clutch moments. Do you feel that way?
100%. He's our point guard. He's the one who manages the clock. He's the one who gets us into things and into actions, manages time. And he had a big three in the corner, just making big plays. And I'm not sure he gets enough credit for everything that he does. So the way that Derek's played has been how he's been playing all year, all-star level, but you can see the leadership and how he's been playing.
Drew, a couple years ago when this team made a finals run, you were often the one guarding Jaylen. He wasn't quite the playmaker, wasn't quite the defender, didn't read the game at the same level. Now that you've been playing with him for a year, seeing that growth,
shitting
you
all
were the
over
one trying to stop
Jaylen.
him.
Where was that? He wasn't saying that last year.
You see it. I feel like kind of like what you said. I think our game plan then was to try to let JB do it by himself, and I just have this one-on-one matchup. But and he's tough. He's tough going one-on-one. But I think the way that he makes, the way that he makes his team better, he can literally get to the basket or in the paint whenever he wants to. But I think to make that extra pass out and just trust in his teammates has been big for us to be able to knock down threes or make extra plays somewhere else and build our confidence. So JB's growth in that area and his playmaking has been huge.
Drew, earlier this season, Joe said something along the lines of, I hope we're down by 10 more. I hope we blow more leads to get that experience. This series, like you mentioned, 3 of those games could have gone either way. How did that constant, mindset preaching help you in this series and getting that experience in the playoffs and succeeding? How does that going to help you in the finals?
Yeah, I think Joe's pretty good at, I wouldn't say predicting situations, but kind of putting us in awkward situations or situations that are very, very possible. We know that we're a pretty good team, and we're a pretty good team in the regular season.
We're a pretty good team.
The playoffs is a different beast. And again, the last 2 games we were down 8 with 2 minutes left. And I think to be able to manage the game, having Derek White out there manage the game, and then JT and JB kind of take over, it's exactly what Joe was talking about. I think we have the mindset and the character for it, and we just went out there and showed it.
There we go. Jrue Holiday. Let me ask you this question, guys.
Jrue coming through.
Jrue, what percentage cooler are the Celtics this year with Holiday on the team? Just how much cooler do they make him? Because he's like, it's like might be 70% cooler. Might be the coolest guy. Yeah. He's just he's so mellow. And again, I hate that we make it always about smart. But it is funny about like.
Don't do it, John.
Yeah,
no, but
man. He's in the back of our minds, but you don't have to say it.
But no,
I'm
only taking the love and trust aspect of it. The trust factor with Holiday to do the right thing and make the right play. I know a lot of people talk about that, and I think it is important in these clutch situations. There's a lot of trust, White, to knock down the shot or to have the ball in his hands to initiate an action and to get it where it needs to go. Or to Holiday or Horford the other day. There's a lot of people you trust right now to make the play when they need to make the play, which is really a comforting thing to have. Because again, how much of this fell or always falls on Tatum and Brown, to do it all? It just really isn't that. And we've talked about it all year. They're not if they win, it's not going to be in spite of Tatum and Brown. It's going to be because they don't have to only win through Tatum and Brown. And Holiday is just a huge part of that. But Sherrod, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the thing about Holiday that I love is that when he's talking about all the things that worked well for them down the stretch, at no point did he talk about himself. At no point did he point out, to me, with one of the obvious factors in them getting to this point in a sweep was because he took over in the last 90 seconds of these games. Big plays at both ends of the floor. He understands that his role is just to kind of get in where he fits in and keep your mouth shut and keep it moving. And that's something they needed so desperately 2 years ago. They needed someone who could just come in, do their job at an elite level, make plays at the end of the game that are important to winning, but doesn't necessarily have to be the play to win. He's just a perfect fit for what this team needs right now going into this series against Dallas. I know Dallas has to win one more game, but it's over.
Damn, Sherrod. Done.
It's over. It's over. That series is over. You all know it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when, huh?
And I just want to shift the conversation away from Smart as much as possible, because that's my guy.
I'm not doing it.
Because he's from. It's because he's from. Is it because he's from Dallas? Is that what it is? He's from Dallas too.
See, Josue, you're just making it worse. Damn it, I hate you.
I mean, let's not forget. You know, he had the flooded house. Celtics traded him. He was trying to figure out his next home and all that.
Josue, so you're that dude that just like pours the salt into the damn wound, right?
I mean, it's just I can't help but look back at what this team looked like last year, and like they've been saying over the last 2 weeks, this is a different team. You know, Jaylen Brown talking about it. Obviously, Jason Tatum, you know, has been saying that. It's like, man, but that's the way it goes, though. You're going to be judged until you win that championship. Oh, the sixth time or seventh time you made the Eastern Conference Finals, great. Get it done. And that's what they have to do here.
Well, they're better built to win a championship now with Jrue instead of
for sure.
Marcus. That's at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean
it's not mean.
And the Celtics
I
know
actually
that.
miss and I like Marcus, and I feel really bad on a personal level. But it's impossible not to compare because ultimately, like that's what you had late in games. You had the Marcus Smart experience, which involved a lot of winning plays, but it involved stuff that was just not. This I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
and harder to trust. Like again,
I think now we see what the Boston Celtics clearly saw.
Why do you think
Jrue
Stevens
Holiday.
jumped at this? Like he was like, "Oh my God, they just traded him," and like he got.
But because they remember how important he was to that Bucks team.
This is the Celtics, right? Like, oh my, this is gonna happen. Right, the second he got traded, for the
and it was like
went down. Yeah, exactly.
And it was like right after
couple of us on this show,
Giannis, he was just as important.
Couple of us on this show, John, me and Bobby specifically, we're all for that trade. Let's go.
You know me, man.
Highlights.
I love. You know, I've been standing for Jrue for years.
You didn't want.
I never thought they'd get him.
I never told you this. It was emotional. I never thought they.
But Sherrod, when it happened though, it was.
I'm still emotional.
It was clear. It was clear. They put all their chips on the table. Like, look, this is it.
And there was nothing I could do to be mad about them making that deal, because as much as you know I love Marcus, I would have traded him too, in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean that was for Porzingis, which was
look what we did.
But
now we got Sherrod talking like this. Look what we did.
I still love Marcus. Don't get me wrong. That's my guy. That's always gonna be my dude. But I would have traded him.
But you have now two instances here where it's impossible not to compare, because look, it's not mean. The Celtics are in the position they're in because they got different players. Right. Because the players they had before, there was something that wasn't going to go, that probably wasn't going to get it done there. It was recognized from ownership on down that things had to happen. And they went and they just, pulled a heist in the offseason by being able to get Porzingis and being able to get Holiday. And again, you lost some players that people really liked. And yeah, would a Celtics fan like to have won it with the homegrown? Yes, absolutely. It feels better rather than going out and getting, hired guns or just buying players or trading them, trading all your assets and getting your star and, winning the chip that way, even though you'll take it. But yeah, you'd love to win with Smart. You'd love to win with Rob and the guys who you drafted and developed and got there. But they did it for a reason. So it's impossible to talk about how good they are without saying what was replaced, And much as I loved Rob, there's a bunch of unreliable shit that he would do as well that would drive you insane. So anyway, we're going to jump in on Jason Tatum here, runner-up to the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. We believe. We didn't see
Action when Jaylen Brown's name was called. Everybody he seemed surprised. Everybody seemed very excited for him. What was that moment like for him?
Is what he's
Here we go.
Big time to be rewarded for, how you play, and that's a special accomplishment for him and for everybody.
And obviously, going back to the finals, special accomplishment for you guys. Is there a difference? Is it kind of like the same type of emotions? What's that like for you?
It's special, right? Even though we've been there before, most of us have.
For him and everybody.
It's a hell of a team we just played. They made us earn every.
He's trolling now. He's got to be trolling.
We're grateful to move on to the final.
He is trolling.
Jason, all season you guys have talked about the importance of not overreacting to wins or losses, sort of staying mild-mannered. How much do you think that's helped you get to this point, and how much important is the balance of keeping that, knowing that this is an amazing accomplishment, but there's still more work to do?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs is like an emotional roller coaster, and trying to find a balance right in between the wins and the losses, trying to stay even keeled throughout the entire, however long you're playing, is important. The team that does that the best usually has a lot of success.
It's not a sin. No.
Jason, Jaylen, big play at the end to win it. It's the block, pass. He's known as a scorer. So, I mean, for you, someone that you've grown with your whole career, how much did it mean that in that big moment, what defined his impact on the game?
All right, here we go.
No, that was special. We talked about it before. As a team, however long it takes, whatever we got to do to make sure that we move on and advance.
As a team.
Jason, obviously,
my
there's
God.
obviously a
This
lot
is
that's happened since you guys were last in this position a couple of years ago.
I don't want to be
As a
talking
group,
about this.
for you and
I don't
Jaylen,
either.
the guys who've been here.
Yes, you do.
What is
He's
different
making it
about
hard.
you guys specifically in terms of growth over the last couple of years, and how do you think that will help you get the 4 wins you're looking for over the next few weeks?
Learning from our experience, right? That playoff run was a lot of up and downs. Obviously we fell short of the ultimate goal last year, lost in the conference finals. So I think, we've just applied everything that we've learned to this season, this postseason, and, it's been working really well.
What's it like for you having a guy on the team that you can trust in the shot like that?
No, that was big. D. White is a big time player. You're right, and especially in that moment, it's a lot on the line, pressure. But we trust him. JB made the right pass, and D. White knocked down.
This was good for everybody.
The knock on you guys in the past was often, can you close out tough games when it's crunch time? And this series, we're in trouble 3 of these 4 games. What has gone into the evolution there over the years, and what did you lean on to come back in those?
Am I the unemployed
Just
Greek?
being decisive, understanding, watching a lot of film, knowing the things that we want to run in those late game situations, and being able to apply it and having carryover from film sessions and practice and rounds and things like that.
Jason, Derek highlighted the championship stations that Joe has kind of run you guys through. What about those you think has helped set you guys up to be at this championship stage that you're about to embark on?
It's the little things that we talk about that can help you win a championship. Defensive rebounding, crashing the glass on offense, communicating, and just little things we do every single day that can take you a long way.
Jason, to your last point, the game was so tight throughout the second half, and there you are, 5 minutes to go and under, battling with Turner, among others, on the block. As your game has evolved more and more, how much do you relish a physical challenge like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the playoffs, and in that moment, I say it all the time. Every press conference is do whatever it takes to help the team win and for us to advance.
Thanks, Jason.
There you go.
I'm gonna pass. I'm not doing this. They're on their way to the finals. I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
I'm taking a pass.
Good for Jaylen. They gave him his props, somewhat.
Okay.
But John,
It's good for
John-
everybody.
John,
It's good for
you-
everybody.
John taking a pass is good for everybody.
It's good for everybody. I'm taking a pass. I'm moving on.
The energy's about to shift. Yeah.
I got my giggles. Yeah, the energy was about to shift in the wrong direction.
Something is shifty. Something is shifting.
We're done. We're done. We're gone. Okay.
Damn.
Enough. Everyone's so mad. They're so mad. I don't want to get everybody mad. We'll move on. We'll move on. Jimmy, you're muted.
That was egregious.
It was, but we're not doing it. I'm not doing it.
That was like
I'm not doing it.
I thought Tatum was gonna look at the camera and say something about it, John. Say something about it.
Look, this will motivate Tatum to go for the Finals MVP. All right, so I think it's safe to say we'll see a better version of Jason Tatum in the next series than we saw against the Pacers.
If Brown wins the MVP, Tatum may not even take the podium. He may not even speak after the win.
I hope Jaylen just walks over and just gives it. Just gives him the
He
MVP.
He just walked across the court, so I think he's on his way to the bus now. But Jaylen just
take it. Just take it. It's fine. We're done. Hey, I want to bring. Can't do it. Can't do it. Something Jaylen was asked about. We didn't talk about, guys. I wanted to bring up to you because this. I thought
that's the Stephen A. Smith thing, right? I know
this is a
Gary.
load of garbage
Gary
here.
didn't. Yeah, Gary didn't say it by name, but I'm assuming that's what he was
Jaylen
alluding
Brown
to.
not liked in NBA circles because of his attitude, and it affects his marketability and possibly some of the voting, and maybe that's one of the reasons he doesn't get all NBA. Honestly, I don't like crapping on reporters' sources and this and that. This felt pretty loose to begin with, and honestly, I don't know why something like this would be thrown out there. It's just one man's opinion. Texted to another person on why I think maybe perhaps Jaylen Brown isn't whatever.
Exactly. Right.
I thought this was a load of dog shit as a report, but I also think again, all of this stuff really does fuel Brown's hate fire, and generally is good for him and good for the Celtics in that regard. But this was really out of nowhere.
It was really weird if you watch the clip too. Like Stephen A. just pulls out a text that an NBA source. There could be thousands of people that could qualify as an NBA source, and it's just like you said, one guy's opinion on Jaylen Brown. What? Because Jaylen Brown doesn't smile for the cameras all the time, or what? He doesn't. He doesn't buddy with every other NBA player after the game. He actually plays with a little tenacity, and he holds grudges, and he's physical. I don't know. Like I think Stephen A. is hilarious, and I would say I typically will watch Stephen A. because I think he's entertaining and all that stuff. But that to me, that was not a strong enough like. It wasn't news. It wasn't really anything that you would read like that on air and like go with it as like a fact.
Right.
And
it's an opinion, and if you're not going to say a former teammate, or you're not going to say multiple people feel this way, then it's not really news to me. It's just one man's opinion. And of course, Stephen A. not revealing his source. I mean, that's how he is. I mean, he's never he rarely does that. He's not going to do that. He's a veteran in this game, one of the best. So I'm with you, Jimmy. I just don't think it's worth mentioning. If it's not a former player, and if it's not someone, if not multiple people saying this.
Well, here's the thing.
Also, it's a cop out for Steve A because he's not saying it. He's just reading somebody else saying it.
Sherrod knows this as a reporter, and again, how many things Sherrod?
Right, exactly, Sherrod. You hear some stuff, and you choose which ones.
Hearing,
right.
And how many things and what do you report is a big difference. That's what cracks me up about people saying everything from media is fake news. I do think certain things give you this bad, give media in general a bad rap. What I will say, as someone who's been on the inside of it, with reporters talking about the buzz and everything that's out there, in most cases, that's stuff you just use it for context and an informed opinion to be able to talk about it in an educated way and be able to say things that based on, I'm hearing some stuff, but you don't say you're hearing it, you just know it. And then you use it however you can so you have an informed opinion. But rarely do you report what people are saying and that stuff. So throwing that out there, I thought was a little bit irresponsible. Whether or not you did hear it from somebody who's reliable, it's weird agenda setting sort of stuff, and it's obviously driven to get engagement. I thought it was fairly weak, but again, Gary put it out there, which is why we're mentioning it here, because I think it was, a lot of that. But
Right.
It was bad. It was bad.
That's what led to the "energy's about to shift" quote. So I think it was worth mentioning, even though he didn't say Stephen A's name per se. We all knew what he was alluding to when you asked him about it.
Yeah. We're going to get Bobby on the show here, and we do enjoy having all of you guys still hanging around, which is great because Celtics are going to the finals. We're not going to have a live game situation for a little bit, so we won't have a Garden report like this one, a post-game one, until, what is it, June 6th?
June.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
June
June
6th.
6th, game 1 in Boston.
We got a little time. I may take a little vacation. What do you guys think? Where should we go?
Yo, I'm down.
Ooh, Garden report vacay? Yeah,
I'll go to the vineyard at this point.
Wherever Nick will send us. Wherever Nick will send us.
I like that. Facts.
While we wait for Bobby to join him, you know what? Maybe we'll do that golf trip I keep promising us, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And when we do it, maybe we'll be adorned in flashy PXG golf gear. And as you guys out there know,
we better.
PXG on a mission to create high-quality, high-performance golf clubs. Yeah, they do that, but same passion they bring, the same passion for excellence they bring into their new line of clothing, apparel, and I got to say it's awesome. Premium materials, technology designed for peak performance. It's great, breathable stuff. You wear it and you feel cool all the time. Not just look cool, but it feels cool even when it's hot. And it did get, into the 90s this week, and you just feel great wearing it. You can wear it on the course, you can wear it out and do whatever. Something for everyone: pants, polos, sweaters, hats, quarter zips, joggers. I've said it before, but they sent us some free merch. I wore it, loved it, bought myself one as well, and you can too. So all you have to do to elevate your style game on and off the course with PXG's Spring and Summer 2024 collection is head over to pxg.com/Garden Report. Use the code Garden Report at checkout. Save 10% on all apparel. So you could buy a bunch of shit, get it all for 10% right there. As we said, head over to pxg.com/Garden Report. Use the code Garden Report at checkout. Save 10% on all apparel. pxg.com/Garden Report. Code Garden Report. Check it out. Guys, any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I got a
game?
thought. Hold on, real quick.
Oh,
It's not
merch
the
it up.
only-
Merch it
That's
up.
not the only
Yo,
merch. That's
better
not
be
the
quick.
only stuff you can buy. We got our own merch, folks.
Oh, wait, you got it? Put it
I
up.
got
I
it
took
right
it off.
here. I got it right here on the CLNS.
By the way,
Mo.
Nick only communicates this to Jimmy. He leaves me out. He cuts me out of the loop.
We cut you out. We just go straight to the source. Use
to Jimmy.
code 4 more.
Jimmy's got 400 hard hats in his mom's attic behind the toilet paper rolls.
So the
Is
hard
that why he
hats are
doesn't?
coming up.
He doesn't tell you about it. Is that why?
The hard hats are not actually for sale yet. They're still being made, but
They're being
I have a
crash
feeling-
tested. It's like we're throwing dummies off of roofs with them.
I feel like you have to, or at least you have to put some kind of like, be careful with this type of thing. You never know, man.
Jimmy,
Something's
how
gonna
does
get
it
crazy.
feel to get your read interrupted? I just want to know.
No, that's fine. You guys, as long as my lower thirds here, use the code 4 more for 50% off. CLNS merch store. Hard hats aren't for sale yet, but they're
Jimmy's
in
pushing
production.
through. I like it.
They're in production, and they will be for sale before the NBA Finals begin. They'll be shipped out. Limited run of hard hats. We're not putting out 100 hard hats, folks. So once they go for sale, they're going to go fast. Right now, though, you can buy hats, mugs, jackets, multiple T-shirts. We got the phenomenal tee. We got
A
the
disclaimer.
Garden Report
Thank you.
tee.
Someone said
We
in the
got the
comments.
phenomenal bucket hats. So
Art chairs.
Art chairs are not for sale yet. We'll see. We'll see how the hard hats go. We'll see how I do.
Wait, is
selling
that you admitting that it was a fart? Did you just admit it right now?
No,
I
we'll
didn't
never
admit
admit it.
The
No,
chair.
it's just a
the
fart
chair.
chair.
It was
Okay,
the chair,
gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Oh,
and Nick are
gotcha,
running
gotcha.
this. They're running the hard hats out of the back of a
Yeah,
truck
yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, delivery will be. It depends on where you live. I'm driving all these hard hats across the country, so depending on where you live, will determine how quickly you get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the merch plug. But yeah, you got to go. Oh, I know. The website URL is not on there, but shop.clnsmedia.com. You can just Google CLNS merch and get the orders in, folks, because they're starting to ship. We had a back order for a while, but they're starting to ship.
I'm here for you, Jimmy. Shop.clnsmedia.com.
Hey.
4 more, 20% off. 4 more,
I love
meaning 4 more
Yeah,
wins.
get that Max book while you're at it too, man. Read about those
I
two
have the MacBook,
championships.
yeah, it's a great
Those
book.
2 champions. No, I'm saying for everyone watching, get yourself ready for another Celtics appearance in the NBA Finals by just doing a little history lesson.
While we wait for Bobby, and as you mentioned, Max is obviously tied a little bit to history, and a little bit today, as well as being the person who was traded to the LA Clippers for Bill Walton, an NBA Hall of Famer. As you know,
Facts.
Bill Walton died today at the age of 71, and it's a good time to bring up Bill. And whether you want to make this a do it for Bill sort of thing, and I know obviously, he played only 2 seasons here, and a lot of people, he's not ensconced. He's not part of Celtics lore in the way that many of the others get. But anybody who experienced even a second of it or is a fan of history understands that, I don't think you can make a bigger impact or imprint on any place or any organization or anything than Bill Walton made in a single season as he did in 1986. When you talk about infectious and magical, and probably I think every single person who was around him, they view life differently, and they have for every minute since he first came into their lives. And that's how a lot of people talk and feel about Bill Walton. We have celebrity deaths and things like that happen all the time. On a very personal level, I'll say this one hit me harder than I expected to today. And I didn't know that it would until the day went on, and you're taking in more Bill Walton stuff and reading about what he was as a person, and the things that he did, and a lot of stories that you'd heard before and a million that you haven't, and all that he stood for, and just a person who stood for positivity, and trying to make people's lives better, and just always being happy and just filling the world with as much positive energy as possible. And something like that happens really feels like a light went out today and the world's a slightly dimmer place. So this one was a tough one today. So again, a lot of Celtics fans out there with some weird feelings today. You're going to the NBA Finals, but this was definitely a painful loss for the NBA world, for the Celtics community, and honestly for the planet and for humanity. So I think that this was a tough one, and I think a lot of people out there kind of probably feel similarly. But I just wanted to say some words for Bill.
Yeah,
Well put, John. Well put.
The thing that always stood out to me every time I had any type of interaction with him was he was always Bill. There was a level of authenticity to who he was and what he was about and what he cared about that never went away. It was always there. And you just don't find people who are that authentically consistent with who they are and what they represent. And the thing of Bill, always, no matter what room he was in, it was always a brighter place because of Bill. Whether it's him, making some really crude or weird joke that very few of us can understand, or him just being very lighthearted about life. You just don't find many people who walk the face of this earth like Bill Walton. And for those of us who have been fortunate enough to have been in his solar system for a little bit, we're thankful for that time with him. And he will be missed by many, those who are just pure basketball aficionados, and those of us in the media who had a chance to get to know him in that second chapter that he lived. So, again, lots of prayers to Bill's family and Celtics Nation, who are definitely hurting right about now.
Yeah, that's
well
it.
said, guys. I mean, you guys
Yeah,
know,
man.
you guys have a closer connection and understanding of the type of guy and player and person he was than me and Josue do. But certainly me and Josue have seen him countless times on television, whether it's in the broadcasting booth and whatnot. And I mean, I think just listening to him and watching clips and whatnot, as good of a basketball player as he was, his greatest gift was just the ability to make people feel good, in his presence, watching on TV, creating memories, positive outlook on life. I mean, John, we know he's a deadhead like you are, so you guys have a connection there.
I have worlds colliding on this one too, because that also kind of raised his,
diehard fans.
Yeah.
So it's a sad day, and he's only 71, and it's tough, but he packed more life into those 71 years than somebody who was 171 could. So it's not always about how long you live; it's about what you're able to do within those years. But it's sad for sure.
Yeah, I remember him as a broadcaster, just bringing that enthusiasm. You know, you hear the stories, the Grateful Dead, how he brought all his teammates there, guys who weren't even into this type of music, but they did it for him, you know, and I think it speaks to his personality and just the kind of teammate he was. And of course, to get Larry to go, I thought that was the best part of that story. Like, to get Larry Bird to go to a concert like that, who clearly wasn't a fan of this at all, but just Bill was so enthusiastic, so crazy, such a fanatic that he naturally made everyone else intrigued, you know, and it wasn't just a few players, it was like half the team, if I'm not mistaken. Even Bill,
Chief McHale went. Only Danny didn't go.
Right. I think that was super cool.
But I swear that 86 Celtics documentary on NBC, my favorite moment of that is them talking about Bill taking them to the Dead Show at the Worcester Centrum that time in '85, early in the year, and it's so freaking funny because it's just like they just like knock, you know, in the back door and walking in, just the way he describes it, because they didn't know what they're getting into, and then they're back hanging out, probably,
and of course it's backstage and stuff, right? Exactly.
With the band, meeting the band, and then the way Bill's talking about it, he's like, and then they were like, you know, he's like, that was amazing. He's like, yeah, they're playing again tomorrow, and he's like, can we do it again? And he's like, yes, we can, you know. And it's so freaking cool. And Carlisle tells a story tonight about it, where he and his wife, his future wife, on their first date, he wants to take her to a Dead Show in D.C., and Bill's like, just knock on the door, ask for this guy, and tell him Bill sent you, and tell him who you are, and bang, backstage passes. There you go. Yeah, so the whole thing is.
And such a distinct voice, you know. People who know Bill Walton, you immediately recognize it when you hear his voice. So, yeah, man, he'll be missed for sure.
Yeah, and it's good stuff. I couldn't stop consuming all of the Bill Walton content today, so definitely wanted to take a minute to acknowledge that as well. Guys, heading into this thing, and again, we know where we're going here, and we know where this goes, but it's not over yet. 3-0, nothing to sneeze at here. The Dallas Mavericks currently leading the Western Conference Finals 3-0 with a chance to wrap it up at home tomorrow night. Celtics could know within 24 hours who they are playing in the NBA Finals. But right now, all signs point to Dallas. We talked about it, Josue, earlier in the show, and I'm curious everybody's thoughts here. I do think that there's a little bit of panic all of a sudden. Just watching Dallas play and watching how masterful Luka has been, and having the two closers and seeing them come back, and the way they've played down the stretch in Minnesota, puking on themselves a little bit here. All of a sudden, people are a little fearful. What's your vibe? And I'll bring in Bobby Manning here as well as we kind of introduce our conversation here about.
About Dallas and
I don't have a 5-shot. Yeah, about that. I lost my 5-shot. Go ahead, Josue. We'll get back to Bobby in a second.
Yeah, I mean, the way these guys are rolling right now, I think there's a little bit of fear there. But I think when you look at guys like Jrue Holiday, and obviously there's the Porzingis, how he's going to look when he comes back. But overall, I still like the Celtics' chances in this hypothetical series, even though they're one win away. I really do, because one, I don't think Kristaps is. I don't think this team is going to be hurt if Kristaps doesn't completely have it in game 1 or game 2. You know, I think they have enough that you get a much more productive Kristaps Porzingis, comfortable Kristaps coming back from that injury somewhere midway through the series, or maybe after those first 2 games. In the meantime, do you see more of this small ball? You know, I would love to see that. I mean, Zannis, you brought this up during the Cleveland series. Like, why don't these guys go small? Well, you look at the way they switch into the zone, you know, in game 3, and the way they've looked defensively when they really want to, right? When all 5 guys are dedicated on that end of the floor, it's really hard to score against these guys. And they did play with their food in this game 4 matchup, but overall, when they're in that mode and that mindset, it's really hard to score, you know? And I think I really do like my chances, again, with the way they've been looking lately. And Al Horford dialed in, guys like Jrue Holiday, I think the experience of those guys ultimately take over, you know, but it'll still be fun and entertaining. I don't think it'll be an easy series at all against these guys, and Kyrie and Luka, who obviously are very hungry to win a championship, and especially someone like Kyrie who can pull it off for the first time since winning with LeBron. So look, I can't wait for it. I think everyone is excited for obviously the storylines and all that. It's going to be very competitive, but I do like the Celtics' chances against the Dallas Mavericks. The Denver Nuggets was the only team that really I would have honestly picked over the Celtics. And look the way things played out west and with Minnesota. I just feel like 2 weeks ago it was the Nuggets. They're going to win it. Last week it was everyone talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now it's the Dallas Mavericks, but no one's giving the Celtics the benefit of the doubt, and I think that plays a big part in this series as well. I think these guys are going to have a big chip on their shoulder. Jaylen Brown being the guy at the top of the list. Tatum, you go down the starting five, and then have Kristaps back again. Give me the Celtics against the Mavs. I'll pick the Celtics.
Bobby, what's going on? We can circle back to Dallas later, but any thoughts here? You're in the post-game podium there, and you're talking to the players, and just your thoughts overall on the game. And here they go, back to the finals.
Yeah, certainly a culmination of a long time that they've built up toward this, and that was a big conversation, obviously, throughout the year. They didn't want to compare this to the past, but particularly they compared it to 2022, as you guys heard. The daunting amount of games, the matchups they had to play on that stretch. Listen, a lot's been made about the path they've gone on here, and the 3 stars, the best player on the opposing team going down in each series to this point. And certainly they'll have to overcome, as Josue mentioned there, 2 superstars in Kyrie and Luka playing at the height of their game right now. But they've earned the rest that they're going to get here. The rejuvenation, I'd truly be stunned if Kristaps Porzingis isn't back in 10 days. It's just hard to imagine that not being enough unless this is just way more serious than we think it is. And of course, all the reporting today, as you guys know, is that it's just a cautiousness right now that they're rolling with as they go up 3-0 in this series. So they're in a good place. There was just a lot of happiness. And I think Jimmy asked me last show, is there a relief after some of these frantic wins? Or is there thank God we won that? Again tonight, I don't feel that. I feel like we've worked on this stuff. We've been in these situations before, and now we're actually executing. This was almost the exact same game as last one, except you didn't have all the Horford threes. You didn't have bailout plays from some role players in that sense. The best players on the team had to make plays, and they did it over and over again in this game. And White was struggling, and he converts his late. But this was Brown, this was Tatum, and Jrue Holiday again stepping up big late after some of his struggles. So everybody here is just in a great place in terms of they know their roles. They know what they need to do any given night. I think from Missoula's perspective, the focus on the little things has really panned out. The offensive rebounding in this game, again, guys, they didn't do that last year. And now every time they need a big offensive rebound, they go get it and give themselves another chance. And this is the stuff, I don't care about anything Dallas is doing. I just don't. They're not ready to win. The Celtics are.
Dude, Porzingis didn't even play in the last game, I think, right? That they beat them by 28?
They're not ready to beat the Celtics. They're not.
If he plays, not. But is anybody here? I know, Bobby, you said the reporting. What happened?
We lose Josue. We lost John.
Oh, take over, Jimmy. Come on. Stay ready.
So I actually wanted to read a couple tweets because this is.
Said I tangoed myself. What happened? Josue just dipped out? Okay, go ahead.
You did tango yourself. No, yeah. We're talking about opinions of what whether or not the Mavericks are legit or not. I was just cruising Twitter earlier. I want to read 2 tweets that have come across my timeline, okay? First one is Nick Wright. Everyone knows Nick Wright.
Yeah, Dallas in 5.
Talking.
Give me a break. Can I do the whole thing?
Everybody. John couldn't let me read the tweet. He needed to just blurt it out.
The chat has done that one for the last hour and a half. That thing's been in the chat 75,000 times, Jimmy.
No, it hasn't.
It's not breaking news.
I don't want to go
in the chat.
I don't want to go too long on that.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Read the other one, Jimmy.
Read the other one. I won't stop on this one.
Nick Wright says Mavs in 5, and then Kevin O'Connor responds, KOC. We all love KOC here. He responds, exactly. The real test awaits on June 6th for the Celtics. That's no disrespect to what they've done. You can only play the games on the schedule, and they've dominated. But the West has undeniably been far more grueling all year long and definitely is during these playoffs. So those are 2 NBA, analysts, reporters.
Nick, I don't believe Nick Wright's a real person. One day,
I don't either.
One day, all of a sudden, he was on my Twitter timeline, and people were like angry about what he was saying. I'm like, where did this guy
that's
come
a Syracuse
from?
guy. Hold on.
Yeah, no, exactly, Bobby. All of a sudden,
Bobby, I wasn't going to let them know that, Bobby.
Yeah. You don't have to claim them all, Bobby. You don't got to claim them all.
Exactly.
Let me
Damn,
just
Bobby.
say this. So if we want to sit here on one side and say there's some daunting like pick and roll coverage issues here in this series that you have to be worried about, the physicality of Dallas's bigs if Porzingis can't go is certainly a concern against what the Celtics have in the front court right now. The depth, there's a lot there to like on that Dallas side, but I just feel like, and maybe they're not getting at that, but I feel like generally a lot of the doubt in the Celtics nationally has been like, ooh, like the old Celtics is always rearing their head, and you just can't trust them, and their offense is disgusting, and this and that. I don't know where that's coming from when they're 12-2 now at this point. They're 6-0 on the road. They're taking care of business. It might not look pretty, but they have answers for everything. And that was actually my favorite answer of the night from Derek White, is that they have everything they need. They have all the answers they need. They can respond to anything any other team does. And you saw it in this series,
that's
right? The
always
Pacers
been the way, right, Bobby? Like that's the thing, is the Celtics are equipped to play any style against any team.
Yeah. And so the Pacers, this was a Brooklyn style sweep here. Like every game was competitive. Every game, a lot got thrown at them in terms of shot making, in terms of pace, in terms of a style that was really difficult to keep up with. And they just answered it every time. Down 18, here you go. Down 8 late in this one, here you go. They just get it done. And so I don't get the doubt anymore in them. I don't. And I've been as critical of them as anyone throughout this year. I certainly was all over them last year. I think this show has been as tough on them as anyone. But I think there's a difference between being tough on them because there's a lot of talent and expectations here, and just rolling your eyes and doubting them because in 2022 and 2023 they couldn't get it done. It's not the same team as they've said over and over.
But you say that, Bobby, and I want to pose this to everybody else here. Like, it's not the same team in terms of some aspects of it. There's obviously personnel changes, but when you look at it, without Porzingis, who they've been without for the majority of this run to the finals, and you can talk about other people that were missing other places as well, but throughout this run to the finals, and they're currently 12-2, and I'll also say I'm far from a Celtics apologist, this is basically the same team as last year, with Holiday as an upgrade over Smart and without Rob Williams. And so that team just walked to the NBA Finals with a 12-2 record without Kristaps Porzingis. So that's got to say something for the overall kind of growth and maturity of the guys who were here before, who you thought couldn't really get it done, or maybe needed that extra boost to get them over the top. You've made it this far without Porzingis really factoring into anything.
Think of where Jaylen, 1 year ago and 2 days probably, Jaylen's turned the ball over 8 times and just completely
and without Grant. It's funny when you remove Porzingis, it's the same team without Grant, without Rob, and with Holiday subbing in for Smart. That's what you are without Porzingis.
Yeah, I mean tonight, late, Tillman was your 6th man, coming in for Tatum with the foul trouble. So it certainly thinned out through the playoffs.
The stars are stars now. I agree with Kess, and we said this at the beginning of the year. Yeah, top 6. Who's going to mess with us? Come get the belt, right? But beyond that, it can get a little funky, and that's what happened here.
And that happened in the series, but it didn't matter.
Mess with your rotations, right? It gets a little funky, and you saw what happened. Guys had stints, but they were largely ineffective. Tillman, Hauser, even
got away
Pritchard
from
at
Kornet
times.
tonight.
Kornet some, but not all there. Brissett has one good night, not a good one, and then literally gets put in witness relocation tonight, and he's gone. You'll never see him again. So there's not a lot of trust there, and they did it without Porzingis. Are you guys confident for sure, though, he's coming back?
Yeah, I think so.
I am.
I think there'll be some rust for sure. Those first game or two, but I think he comes back in the finals.
I'm not sure there's gonna be that much rust.
John. Unless there was a setback, and that's certainly a question we're going to ask Joe over the next weekend when we talk to him again, and he's not going to answer it. But if there wasn't a setback, why wouldn't he be ready in 10 days? we're talking 5.5 weeks at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a guessing game. We don't really know. You know, we're relying on the Celtics to giving us the truth, but in reality, they could be telling us whatever they want to tell us. And
Well, Jimmy, Joe has no idea. So
I'm sure, right?
It's the exact line he says every single time he's asked.
He's on a need to know basis.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I would say just because they do have the big break in between that, I kind of feel like I'm kind of with Bobby here. Like unless there was some sort of setback or unless it was way worse of a injury than what they originally told us, he should be back within that time frame. Now the percentage of Porzingis that we're going to see, is he going to be 100%? Probably not, but if you can get him close to, 85%, I think, obviously he can be a big help to what you guys have. And we know that the Celtics are thin. That's one of the things that we'll probably talk about on another show. It's just the bench on this team is, with Porzingis out, there's not a whole lot of a bench to even talk about.
Especially at this stage.
We forgot
Brogdon. That's how it
too.
goes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually the rotation is at most 8, in a playoff rotation. Sometimes it goes down to 7, right? So, but you're really starting to. You haven't got much out of Hauser.
It's a Pritchard series. Next series, I think you'll see some of him out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to run 7 deep if Porzingis returns with some spot duty between other guys. Hauser will get a few minutes, but not a ton. But yeah,
you got to that lineup
you're not
tonight
see
too. Him
Luke.
with the starters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dallas suffered a major injury this week as well. I mean, you talk about a neck sprain. Terry Rozier missed the whole Celtic series with that kind of injury. So that's a ginormous hit if the Mavericks don't have him going forward, even if Maxi Kleber is back. He was just playing out of this world for them. And Daniel Gafford's great too, but it was having both of those guys that really made them dangerous. So we'll keep an eye on him too, of course.
Yep. Guys, any final thoughts here before we wrap it up? And the Celtics are headed back to the NBA Finals, second time in 3 years.
So are we.
Another comeback. So is CLNS Media, and so are you guys, for that matter. We're happy
Let's
to bring
go.
you guys along with us. That's very exciting that we get to continue doing this with
The
our
finals
terrific,
is back on Causeway Street.
with our terrific Garden community, and we do appreciate you guys as always. And we're expecting big numbers and a lot of support because that's what you've been giving us all year. And we're happy to see new people jumping in here, and we want you to tell more people about it because it is going to be fun. And we have a long time to break down the finals opponents, so obviously we'll do that. Bobby, you had something before we go?
Yeah, I mean, it was just cool to see the scene of a win like this, obviously, right? Because we did this in 2022.
What was the vibes? Yeah.
It was kind of one guy after another into the press room. So we were in there for a lot of it, but I did get into the locker room eventually. And obviously just beer everywhere. Everybody's soaked. Cornette had one in his hand. I got to talk to him for a little while just about like what this meant to him to kind of be part of this.
There it is, guys. Everyone drink. No. He's saying that we almost went the entire show without mentioning Cornette, but there it is.
And then
Bobby went in
Sam
that locker room was
Hauser-
like, Luke. He said, Luke.
I mentioned it first.
Oh,
I
did you? Oh, I missed that part.
I said him earlier. I said him just a
Bobby
minute
walked
ago.
into that locker room and was like, Luke.
Taking a beer.
Ready to celebrate.
It's
And
like
then,
it's like
speaking of
Rocky.
beer-
It's like Rocky looking for Adrian at the end of the fight.
Luke.
Hey, two
barely
finals, 2 Eastern Conference championships for Luke Cornette. But yeah, Sam Hauser, shotgunning a beer. I love to see that in there with one of the trainers. So he's in great spirits as well.
That guy's from
despite the struggles.
Wisconsin, man. That doesn't surprise me. Shotgunning.
Yeah, it was kind of clearing out by the time I got in there, but you clearly saw the damage done at that point. And again, even just talking to these guys, like they're really excited. They love what they accomplished up to this point, but come on, like you got to get the next series done here. Like that's what this is all about. They had their moment tonight. They celebrate what they've done to this point. I think doing it without Porzingis is like a huge pat on the back to themselves too, especially for Horford. Like again, 37, 17 years. Like we just say it every year, right?
Man.
Like it's just, you just sit back and say, and Joe did too, as you guys saw, and it was just like, how do you even, like, what do you even say about this? Like what he's doing out here. It's just silly. Like that's who you want them to win this for. Like what he's done the last 3 years to try to get this done. Just do it for Al. Like, come on, just get him that damn ring.
I think we do it for everybody out there too. But
Do it
Al
for
is a
everybody.
Al is
He's at the top
okay,
of the
Tatum.
mind.
Okay, Tatum.
Do
All
it
right.
for Brown, but really everybody.
do it for everybody.
It's for everybody, guys. Yeah.
I have a final thought.
Oh, go ahead, Jimmy.
Feed me Kyrie Irving. I want Kyrie Irving on a platter for this NBA
See,
final.
that's
That
one of
is
those
gonna be-
storylines,
you asked
man.
for.
Yeah,
Careful what you asked
man.
for, Jimmy.
See,
I
the
just
head
wanna
games,
feel
the
something again.
Luka talking trash, all that. Expect all that in this series, man.
Kyrie, feed me Luka that little. Oh, I don't want to say it. But Luka.
I think you should be above Kyrie at this point, Jimmy.
Oh, I
He's
am
not
above.
Bobby. He's not Bobby.
Oh no, I'm
He's
above
not.
him. I still want.
And
him
you
on
know,
a platter.
Celtics fans aren't either.
They
I
gotta
just
be,
hope.
man.
I just hope they don't do that
over
stupid.
it.
I just hope they don't do that stupid chant because it's one that's just unoriginal. It's old. Just get over it. Like
I think
don't
they're doing it out of habit. I honestly
don't boo him every time he touches
You
the
think
ball
Celtics
and all
fans
that.
still feel that? Like when he spurned
Yeah.
them,
It was 5 years ago.
when he spurned them those years ago,
I don't
it's
care if
because
it was
you thought he left
25
the
years ago.
franchise. You thought he left the franchise in ruin because it was the vision was to build around him and potentially get Anthony Davis and maybe still have a bit of a young core if you didn't have to trade it all away. And off and running, the idea is keep one of the Jays and have those two stars, and that was it. And he blew the whole thing apart. And then Al, which I'm not going to forget, Al, you left us too. Okay, buddy, that wasn't cool,
that's
but
true.
he did.
Hey, 100 million is 100 million, man.
But
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did.
yeah, exactly.
Nine figures.
And
And,
Kyrie
and things were looking sus. Things
but
were looking
the
sus in
Celtics
Boston
are
at that
in a
time.
better position now because of all that. And Kyrie everything went bad for him. So I don't think they feel
It was a
that
blessing in
anymore.
disguise. It was a blessing in disguise that
Fine,
Kyrie left.
all that can be true, and guess what? I can still want to boo his ass the second he steps foot in the Garden. It's not about being above it or that it all worked out well for the Celtics. He screwed you guys. He screwed you when he was on the team, and then he bolted. So guess what? You still have every right to be pissed, and you still have every right to say,
Fine.
boo Kyrie Irving.
I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I don't.
I know
but
you're not.
I agree.
I know you're
agree.
not.
Yeah.
I know you're not.
We're just
Some
gonna make
people
our
will.
case, and I just hope.
Some fans
just
are
hope
going to
it's
feel that way.
same.
Some won't. But guess what? The point is, it adds another layer to the series. It's okay to be happy that storyline, Bobby. You're a reporter. You should want as many storylines as you possibly can have. You shouldn't be shying away from a great storyline. Feed me Kyrie Irving. Feed me Luka Doncic. Feed me all this drama. That's what makes the NBA Finals even more interesting than they could be. So yeah. I would boo his ass if I'm a Celtics fan at the Garden. Paying $1,000, by the way, to go to the game.
With
Hey,
16-year-old
Kyrie
Jimmy
said-
B. Bowen, probably.
Kyrie said to
Absolutely.
me and Gary had
By
a
the way, I'm
conversation.
not saying say something. Don't go over the line with it. But you can still this home court advantage for a reason. So
What's
anyway.
up,
To be
What's
fair,
up, Bobby?
Gary and I had a conversation, a long one with Kyrie back in January, and he said, "You have a right to boo me. Like you have that right." So
Absolutely.
I guess he's giving
Yeah,
it.
whatever. No, I agree.
He's
That's
in a great place. So
John,
you know,
you can
at
sit
the end
on
of the
your
day,
hands
good for
48
Kyrie.
minutes, okay?
fine. No, I'm
John's
saying
gonna sit on his hands. It's the NBA Finals. John's gonna sit on his hands.
Is he doing it right now?
I had reason
All right.
before. I
This
don't.
will be
I don't-
half our preview show,
I
by the
don't
way.
feel it. I
Yeah,
don't
for
feel it.
real.
I can't
Yeah,
lie to
you
myself.
guys are the
about it.
holier than loud. This is the holier than thou crew. I guess we got on film right now, everybody.
You won't turn the other cheek, Jimmy?
I don't feel it.
We got all
Anyway,
the SJWs in the building, I guess.
low key storyline.
Too much time has gone by. I don't know.
Imagine being
but it's
a
gonna
ref.
happen.
Imagine being a ref in this series. Every time down the court, either Luka or Tatum is looking at you like, "Oh my god."
They're gonna
Oh
drop.
yeah,
Listen, you
Luka's
might
the
Tatum.
worst. Way worse
One-
than Tatum.
one
He's the worst
referee-
in the league, man.
One official
Yeah.
is going to quit before the series is over with those
This
guys.
is
Like,
gonna be fun.
I can't take it. It's going to be
You
fun.
know what? You might not have anything against Kyrie right now, but it's not going to take long. It's not going to take long for something to happen in this series, and it's gonna send you right back to where you were. It's not going to take long. Whether it's Kyrie, whether it's Luka complaining, bitching.
Well, you know
I
what he's gonna
wanted
say?
Kyrie. Jimmy, you were with me at the Garden all of those nights, and I was saying they got to get rid of this guy. They're better without this dude. I wanted to trade him at the deadline.
Well, John,
I
what's gonna
I
set
was like,
people
this
off?
You
guy
saw the writing
sucks.
on the wall.
Yeah, get him out. And everyone's like, dude, look, they're on off now. Shut up. It was
You know what's gonna
bad.
set people off? You know what's gonna set people off?
Oh,
John, is
drove me nuts. I wanted him gone. I was happy he was gone. I didn't want that guy. I hated him. I hated him here. I thought he
We're
infected
all glad
everything.
He was gone. He was an asshole.
And you're gonna hear it right away to begin this series how he raised Brown and
The
Tatum up,
mentorship,
and he
and they're
set
gonna
those
give it
guys
back
up
to
to
him.
succeed.
But they're going to give it back. That's what I hate. They still view him with a sense of reverence, and that's frustrating because I would rather Tatum and Brown be like, yeah, he was a dick, you know, like, and I'd rather hear that, but they won't because they.
Well,
they like him.
Jalen has said on more than one occasion that he likes Kyrie better now that they're not teammates than they were together. Which to me is buzz colder for he was an asshole when we played together, but now I can tolerate him because I don't have to see him every day.
But they're gonna dap it up, and it's gonna be gross, and then I'll get mad. But I'll get mad at them, not him. Anyway, we got a
See,
lot.
I think they're beyond that, John. I think after they swept them, after they swept Kyrie and the Nets in that series, you don't see that same kind of camaraderie like we used to with the dapping up.
I hope so.
Damn near taking pictures together and stuff. So I think they're over it. And I think Celtics fans have to go the same route. I mean, obviously you're not gonna cheer for him. I'm not expecting them to do that. But this whole like boo him every time he touches the ball, F you Kyrie. Like I just think it looks salty. You know, it's like you guys are still salty about that.
We're
That's
10
all I'm
days
saying.
out to the finals, and somebody thinks there's too much Kyrie talk now. Oh boy!
Oh,
buddy.
well, you better
know
gear
what?
up.
You might
Get
have
ready.
to take this and throw it in the ocean, and then shut the laptop.
You're gonna get an
close your
unwanted
ears,
history
It's got to
lesson.
be like a retreat for you in Honduras.
Earmuffs. There's got to be somewhere in the world.
You really have to make the choice in this series, and it might get frustrating
Right.
at times, but it's gonna be
I
part
don't-
of it.
I don't
What are you
think
gonna
you
do?
can hide.
You
It's
can't
gonna
do
be-
it. Yeah.
Okay, we promise not to beat on
I'm-
every
I'm-
old bad storyline.
yeah.
I'll ask you guys. You guys send us what you want us to talk about. Our Garden Report previews leading up.
Tatum versus
We'll talk-
Luka. That's what this is about.
Yeah, we'll do
Let's
one show
go.
on. Could you be any awesomer than Jaylen? And that'll be a whole show. And then we'll do another show and just talk to Derek White's dad about how wrong all the haters
Hey,
were all year.
Derek White's dad coming up next on CLNS Media. Don't tune it out. We want people to watch, John.
I know, I'm just messing around. Anyway, more stuff coming on CLNS Media. We were dipping in and out of the press conferences, but if you want to check them all out, they're all uploaded on our site. You can do that as well. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, support our sponsors, do all of those things. It helps us bring the content to you, even though some of you, I think, hate us. You're still here for some. You're still here. I don't know why, but you're here, and
Hate us 'cause they
that's
ain't us.
fine. And that's fine.
They used
And-
to love us. Just
Yeah,
like
so-
Kyrie.
Yeah,
It's a
but
love-hate thing.
we love you guys
Yeah.
one way or the other, honestly. So thanks for hanging out. We will see you guys probably as soon as what's today? Today was technically Tuesday, but Wednesday. If the Mavs advance, we'll do it. We'll do our kind of our first look at Dallas and a preview there. If not, we'll follow along with that series and see how it goes. But it looks like it's going to be the Mavs. But the Celtics are back to the NBA Finals. They sweep the Pacers, come from behind, win yet again another clutch time performance, winning 105-102. They are 12-2 in the playoffs, headed to the finals for the second time in 3 years. That is Bobby Manning, Josue Pavon in Indianapolis, Sherrod Blakely, Jimmy Toscano. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we will see you later.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Phenomenal.
Forfeit's out. I think it's an option. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.